But FY25 also is going to be a big year for car launches. That entire SUV versus sedan, the battle will continue. More and more auto companies would be showcasing their might in FY25. Tesla, will it really have a grand entry in FY25? Another big question. We are looking at the SUV market, which is now getting really dominated both by speed and by variety. And then MG Motors, can they be the disruptive new player? What Tata Motors did to the EV market a couple of years ago, can a combination of MG Motors and Hyundai do that in FY25 along with Maruti? Hormazd Sorabjee, editor of Autocar India, joins us now. Hormazd, always great to have you on ET. Thank you for joining us. Are we in for another colorful year for the auto sector? New launches, new technology, a lot of new things will be showcased. What is your sense?
Well, I think the new launches will continue. That has to continue because manufacturers need to keep their product pipelines full. So there will be the usual cadence of models coming after life cycles. So I think, yeah, there will. I think the big one which we can expect pretty soon is the new Maruti Swift. Swift has always been, a hot seller for Maruti. It's a completely new generation of Swift with a new engine. And eventually that Swift will be getting a hybrid in, a year and a half time. So I think that is a very critical model for Maruti. You've got Mahindra also launching their Born Electrics for the first time, they are on a dedicated electric platform. You've got Tata launching the Curve. You've got the Mahindra 5-door Thar as you put on there. So yeah, you've got the usual, kind of, let's say, nothing, to be honest, it's not better than last year. It's about similar. You've got nothing major from Hyundai this year, or Kia, but then again, it's very cyclical. So I think, what's key is how the market is going to grow. We're on a very high base right now. So I think people are concerned that, the growth is going to be definitely in single digits, but where it will be is, I think there's a little bit of, let's say, now push needed in the market after all, let's say all pent-up demand is gone, supply chain issues are sorted. So it's really back to how it was earlier.
Almost, we were just chatting earlier on in the show as to how, there's this whole talk about a rural slowdown. But at the same time, looking at the two-wheeler sales, it doesn't seem to be quite the case. What's been your reading of how two-wheelers have panned out if you've tracked them?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be the year for two-wheelers. I think definitely, after years of really having subdued growth. Again, similarly, with the small car segment, which they're kind of linked really at the bottom end of the pyramid. I think, clearly, I think it looks like, two-wheelers are going to have a good year. But again, it's going to be depending on model launches. I frankly think that at the end of the day, it really is new models, new products that really drive growth. And there is quite a lot, even, two-wheelers, I think new launches planned as well. Again, the EV story is something which everyone is also watching. Will it continue? It seems to have flattened out both. Even in the two-wheeler side, I think, there's a lot of push with lower price products, people benefiting from the 5% GST. But I think clearly, I think this is a segment one needs to watch whether the customer is now, we've kind of saturated the first lot of early adopters. And, the next wave, do they have the appetite to go electric as well?
Just like it was Mahindra and Mahindra, which was company of the year 2 years ago, just like it was Tata Motors, which was the company of the year 3 years ago, which could be the company of the year for FY25?
I think I would say it could be Maruti, because I think, I think they've got some interesting launches happening. They've got the Swift and they've got their first EV coming out, which I think could be the one to watch out for. Though I have heard that it could be delayed by about 5 to 6 months. That's what could happen. Again, a lot of software issues with the EVs, which kind of delays their rollout. Very, very challenging to get all the software sorted in EVs. Everyone's struggling with that. But I think, Mahindra could be a company to still watch out for because maybe, I think also they're getting their hybrid act ready, though they won't have their first mass hybrid by 25, or they could have it by the end of the financial year. But I think their play on affordable hybrids and a very kind of, let's say, a focused play on EVs, as well as keeping all the other CNG petrol options going as well. I think it's a multi-powertrain strategy, which is finally going to be the one that that finally works.
And what about Bajaj, which is going to be launching their CNG bike in the month of June? We're going to see that for the first time. How do you believe that, that product could really perform in the Indian markets?
Well, I think it's interesting because, I think CNG again, I think it has got appeal, but it's got a very kind of a, let's say, focus to absolute running costs. There's really not too much aspiration in buying a CNG vehicle just by CNG by nature of the image it's traditionally had, and the fact that CNG never gives you the performance of a proper petrol car. So I think, it's going to be interesting to watch. I think it's really going to be for those who really want absolute running costs as far as commuting goes. And frankly, people are feeling the pinch of running costs, which is why generally CNG is picking up across all sectors of, private mobility. So I think, that is something to watch. But, I just think CNG has its issues as well.
Where do you see the most disruptive launches? And I'm just going to bring this for the benefit of our viewers. When I say disruptive launches, let's say we saw the most disruptive launches in the premium biking segment. You had Honda Harley coming together, you had Bajaj Triumph coming together. Which category of the automobile sector you see the most disruption and the most interesting, launch pad getting ready?
Well, I think, traditionally, I think the companies that have liked to disrupt, to be honest, are Mahindra. They've shown they've done that. They did that with all their vehicles, whether they did with the XUV 700, whether they did with the Thar. And I think with the five-door Thar, they have, let's say, an opportunity to disrupt the market once again. It promises to be quite, let's say, a unique vehicle in the sense that there's nothing quite like it. It addresses the issues of the existing Thar, but again, broadens the base. Knowing Mahindra, they price their products very, very aggressively initially and throw in all the toys. That's been their strategy. I think Mahindra has one huge advantage is that they operate in segments where their products generally have very, very high margins compared to, let's say, even a Maruti or even a Tata Motors, for example. So they can afford to kind of be aggressive on the price over there. I think that's one that I think that's really an envious advantage they have. So I think Mahindra would be the disruptor. They would probably do that with their born electric vehicle also. They've got a bloody nose after the XUV 400, which has been quite a flop, and they don't want to make that mistake again. So keeping that in mind, I think even their first EV, their proper EV, which should go on sale end of this year, I think also will be come with an absolutely very, very aggressive price and try and disrupt the market. So I think Mahindra is the one who's got the capacity to disrupt more than others.
You're getting confusing signals at a global level on what is right, what is wrong. I have enough data points which suggest that the European and the American car makers are going back to what could be called as a hybrid model. There are companies which are forcing or they're putting the metal to the pedal when it comes to only EV portfolio and getting future ready. So for an Indian consumer, what is right, what is wrong, and which way the puck is moving?
Well, I think from the Indian consumer, it's basically, and I think we need to keep the consumer at the heart of all decisions over here is basically what is actually convenient and practical for them. Because at the end of the day, the challenge with these actually is just one, and that is the charging infrastructure. People have accepted the price. They don't mind even paying a premium, not just because of the cost savings they get in running costs, but because EVs are so fantastic to drive. I mean, once you drive an EV, you're absolutely addicted to it. You don't want to drive anything else, especially in the city. So range is not too much of a problem because they're mainly, let's say, city-centric. But the challenge is the home charging infrastructure, because that's really what you need, and this is what we've been seeing the world over. I think you need the security, the comfort of having a plug point at home. And I think right now it's been kind of saturated or getting saturated. A lot of people still just have off-street parking. They don't have, even in their societies, they don't have access to home charging. And I think this is, fundamentally the biggest problem. In fact, Tata Motors, had a very interesting statistic which said about over 90% or even 95% of Nexon EV buyers all had home charging, which goes to tell you that so many didn't buy the car because they didn't have home charging, and that seems to be the absolute prerequisite for anyone buying an EV. So it's all kind of narrowing down to this one fundamental challenge, which is having charging at your doorstep, which isn't keeping pace with, let's say, the kind of growth that there has been in EVs.
It comes down to buying stocks on ET now, which is a good stock to buy, which is not a good stock to buy. Without getting into specific recommendation here, let's look at the prospects according to you, purely based on your understanding of the auto cycle and the company portfolio. Which company do you think has potential, and there's a possibility that it will do much better than what the average industry rate is for next 3 years?
Well, anyway, I just have to tell you that I don't own a single auto stock just out of principle. But I mean, I would say that I would still bet on for this year. I would still bet on Mahindra. They've still got a strong, let's say, product pipeline. XUV 700 is still strong. They've still got some real icons in their range. Scorpio is a real icon. I think the 5-door Thar is going to be disruptive. They're launching the XUV 300 facelift. I don't think that will really shake the market. They're entering a very crowded segment with that, and there's a lot of competition over there. So I think that's going to be one product which I think, well, it depends on how they price it as well. But quite frankly, they're about 12, 13 of, it's a very, very crowded segment. Whereas I think that other iconic products really don't have any competition and don't see any foreseeable competition. And I think we are still seeing that, the kind of appetite for ICE engines is still very much in India, which will play to their strength. I'm not sure on, they're coming into the EV market at a time when, the EV market, there are EVs, there are questions around their demand right now, the short-term demand. I'm sure it will grow eventually. But I think, you've got then Tata Motors launching the Curve as well. That is, again, a very, very, let's say, a product with a lot of potential, because it's, let's say, a Nexon Plus. Nexon has done quite well. But again, as I say, I think the margins Mahindra has and the volumes they can generate really from a, let's say, a financial point of view, I think they're pretty well placed. Maruti, as always, I think, again, their volumes are high. For them to push more is going to be challenging. They have a very, very high base. But Maruti is a company that really knows this market better. I think models like the new Swift will definitely, get them certain volumes, and that engine is very, very fuel efficient. I think Maruti, from just the way they operate, they are going to be pushing on CAFE, and they're one of the two companies that meet CAFE. In fact, that's one challenge Mahindra will have, is on CAFE targets. They desperately need EV volumes to kind of compensate for their ICE vehicles if they are to kind of meet their targets. So that is one challenge I would say Mahindra still has. It's not been able to, the XUV 400 didn't give them enough volumes to kind of offset that. Yeah, so I think, these few companies, I think looking at the others, which the multinationals, I think you've got Volkswagen, Skoda, which pretty much don't have any real offerings this year. You might have the Skoda compact SUV coming out in early 25. That will definitely give Skoda volumes. Volkswagen, frankly, has fired all its bullets, and I don't see anything coming from Volkswagen, anything big in the next 3 to 4 years. Renault Nissan have just announced a planned $600 million investment. Will that shake up the market? I don't think so, because it's a bit of a little too little, too late. By the time they come out, it'll be 25, 26, and it will be with 4 SUVs, which are again in the most competitive segment of the market, where others will also be coming in. Yeah, so I think, frankly, the way the auto industry is panning out, and just to give a broad base as to who the kind of big players are, you've got at the top the Maruti Toyota combination. You've got then the Koreans, which is Hyundai and Kia, and more specifically Hyundai, which has got very aggressive plans for the next couple of years, including EVs. In fact, Hyundai have got a target of hitting a million units a year by around 28, 27, 28. So a lot of models coming in the next few years from them. And then you've got, let's say, the domestic players of Mahindra and Tata. So really, it's these 3 groups which are dominating the auto sector right now, and everyone else is quite marginal.
Hormazd, good to have you on board. Thanks so much for joining in with all the updates on Motown. And one thing's for sure, that the markets are in the fast lane.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.